Hello, it's Spence, the evil genius, from Witch in the Laboratory with your lab secrets tip of the day. Well, today I've been asked to give a little bit more information on how to use CSS to stylize, control, manage, and maintain your navigation menu. And that's what I'm going to do today. I've got exactly 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to show you what we can do here using the handiest tool in our toolkit, Firebug. That's the plugin for Firefox, and it's usable on Mac and PC. Probably the most indispensable tool we have. All right, so for those of you who've never used Firebug before, it's covered in a previous tutorial, but I've already opened up my Firebug window at the bottom of my Firefox browser. And again, as you know, on the left-hand column, I've got all of the HTML markup, and on the right side is the CSS, and above is my preview window. First thing we want to do is identify where in our HTML markup our navigation area is. Well, one way I can do it is I can go on the left side and I can roll my mouse button down, and you'll notice when I do it kind of gets me close, but only within the range of the header. So I'll click on that first, and when I do, I can drop down and I can see there's some more information, and I drop down and more information, and oops, I've come up to a dead end. Well, only thing to do when you hit a dead end is to go to the next step. So I'm going to click on the divide ID equals wrapper container. And sure enough, when I open that up and I roll down some more, there it is. Now don't ask me why the navigation wrapper is inside of the main body container. That's something for another day. But for right now, realize that once you found it, you roll your mouse over, it'll be highlighted in blue. The reciprocal way to do this is to roll your mouse over with the Firebug, right click and choose the inspect element, which will do effectively the same thing, but just a more quicker way. It'll get you right to the area you need to be, where you can then back up and see that here we are at the very top of it. All right, now that we've learned how to identify where the area is that we want to work on, let's look at some of the things that we've got in play. First of all, the main divide ID is called navigation wrapper here on Social Go. There's also a thing called a class, and this is called ClearFix. Now, a basic idea with using CSS is that there's going to be an element ID and there's going to be a class. Think of it like this. I am a male and my name is Evil Genius. In this case, I am part of a group that is larger called male, or let's say a gender, and I am also specifically Evil Genius. In this way, we've got divide ID is the navigation wrapper, but they also want to apply a specific name called ClearFix, which will have an entire category of attributes with it that'll apply to other things that might also carry the label of ClearFix. Second of all, I want to show you that in the navigation, we've got a structure that's very typical. It's called an unordered list. And again, this is covered by this tag here that says UL. That stands for unordered list. And at the bottom, you'll see there's a closing tag for the unordered list. In between, each of the tabs is called an LI, or a list item. That means that we've got an unordered list. They're not numerically designated, and each item is a list item. You'll lastly see, because I'm coming up on the 4-minute mark, that we've got the list items each have their own unique ID. Nav Home, Nav Magazine, Nav Forum, Nav News, and they also have a unique, or at least partially unique, class. You'll notice that the one that's selected called Home has a class called Nav Selected, whereas the other ones, the class is blank. That's because only the one that's Nav Selected gets this special name, and hence special amounts of CSS applied. And if we look over to the right side, we'll see what that means. So if we right click on this, inspect element, we can see the attributes that apply to this list item. And specifically, we can see that when we want to see what's going on with the nav selected, we click here and we see that it'll have an attribute putting the background color at all white. You see here this, I have exactly 2 minutes. Main navigation li.nav selected background white. I'm out of time. See you on the next tutorial.